Is it possible that this IRS thing is a setup? Because we don't have the full governmental report yet. We don't know exactly what is in this governmental report. Is this thing a setup?
In what way?
Well, I don't know. There's something wrong here. There's something wrong. Why have they said that they want we apologize for this? Why did they come out? They've never done that. They deny stuff that's in black and white. You're like, no, here's the picture, Jay Carney, of you with the hooker. No, that's not me with the hooker. They never admit or apologize for anything.
Well, just last March, the head of the IRS commissioner, Douglas Shulman, was testifying, and he said that he was asked point blank, have you guys targeted any of these right-wing groups?
Thanks for bringing this up, because I think there's been a lot of press about this and a lot of...
Really?
No,
there was almost
Blaze.
none.
The Blaze reported it. Bloggers reported it. Other than that, there was no other press.
Yeah.
Moving information, so I appreciate the opportunity
Hang on just a second.
Clarify.
You know what? I take that back. There was a lot of press. There was the press that said that it was a conspiracy theory to even suggest it.
Yeah, there was that.
So thank you for bringing it up so I can just drive a final nail in the coffin that this is all a conspiracy.
Which is probably the only reason it was brought up, to give him an easy home run against a crazy right-wing conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Find out who asked that question. All right, go ahead.
First, let me start by saying yes. I can give you assurances. As you know, we
that was an assurance that no group has been targeted.
Pride ourselves on being a non-political, non-partisan organization.
Sure.
I'm the only, me and our chief counsel are the only presidential appointees, and I have a 5-year term that goes beyond.
Stop for a second. Can you tell me when this happened? What was the exact date of this?
It was March of last year. I don't know the day in March.
Okay, so here's June 29th, 2011. Is that before or after March?
Well, June 2011 is before this.
You sure?
Yes.
You want to check your calendar? Documents now obtained by the Washington Post from a congressional aide with knowledge of the findings show that on June 29th, 2011, IRS staffers held a briefing with senior agency officials in which they described giving special attention to instances where statements in the case file criticize how the government... where statements in the case file criticize how the country is being run. Lerner oversees tax-exempt groups for the agency, raised objections, and the agency revised its criteria a week later. But 6 months later, the IRS applied a new political test to groups that applied for tax-exempt status as social welfare groups. The document says that on January 15th, 2012, is that before or after this testimony?
That's before.
You sure? You want to check the calendar?
Pretty sure.
January 15th, 2012, the agency decided to target, quote, political action type organizations involving in limiting expanded government, educating on the Constitution and Bill of Rights.
Yeah, because you don't want people educated on the Constitution. That's you talk about treason. you can't have that. You can't have that.
Social economic reform movement. That, I think, is their thing. They're going to say, what? We were going for everybody. New revelations are likely to intensify criticism of the IRS, blah, blah, blah. State of the Union on CNN on Sunday, Susan Collins, that vicious pit bull Republican from Maine, described this as absolutely chilling and called on the president to condemn. That
would be
really
wonderful.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Make a big difference to me. I know that.
Let me give you. This is just what the Jewish groups were asked to file when they were filing and saying we want to be a tax-exempt status. They had to file out all these questions. I'll give you some of the questions, but here are the ones to the Jewish groups. Does your Jewish group support the existence of the land of Israel?
Why do you have to know that at the IRS?
What is the difference there? Also, it demanded the Jewish organizations describe its religious belief system toward the land of Israel.
Wow.
That's interesting, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Now, let me give you some of the other things that the 9/12 Project, and by the way, all of these documents we released in 2011.
I have the computerized calendar here. I can calculate the date if you want. Is it before or after?
This was
okay.
This was in 2011.
Okay.
So is that before or after that testimony?
I can't calculate.
Really?
Yeah.
You have the new,
You
have the new Jay Carney program?
Yeah, can't calculate.
It just won't work.
It's on TurboTax.
Error messages coming up.
Because I use the Jay Carney one, and I just keep getting. I can't find out exactly what date it was, but it just keeps saying it's old news.
Yeah, it's definitely really old. Really old.
Okay, so the San Fernando Valley Patriots received 12 pages, 35 questions, 80 different sub-questions in total. Here are some of them. Provide details regarding all of your activity on Facebook and Twitter. Provide details regarding all of your advertising you have conducted using social media outlets. Provide a list of all issues that are important to your organization. Indicate your position regarding each issue. If associated with any other IRC 501c3, provide the name, the federal employee identification number, and address of each organization. Describe the nature of all contacts with all other organizations. It's impossible to do this. Candidate forums. Please provide details, including the nature of the forums and the issues discussed. You attempt to influence the outcome of specific legislation. Please answer the following. Provide copies of all communications, all pamphlets, all advertisements, and other material distributed by your organization regarding legislation. Provide details regarding your relationship with the Tea Party Patriots and the Sacramento Patriot Movement. Now, here comes this one. Asked by Ohio Liberty, Kentucky 9/12, Waco Tea Party, Richmond Tea Party, United Action, San Fernando Valley Patriots. Political affiliation of any person or organization that provided educational services to you. Any candidates for public office that happen to speak at any function they have ever had. Please provide written transcripts of those speeches. No 9/12 Project has written transcripts of everything. All activities with the news media, providing articles, news transcripts, items aired. Provide the resume of every past and present director, officer, and employee.
Jeez.
Members of your family that have served on any boards or organizations or have plans to be a candidate. This one was sent by the IRS. No, wait, we have that. Okay, hang on just a second.
Provide a detailed list of everything you've said to anyone since you were 8 years old.
Provide a detailed list of the last 12 hours of pinochle that you've played. Which cards came up in which order?
Oh, it's the idea that they can. Crazy. Here, this is the copy also of the IRS letter. Here's another one. The IRS, we have these letters that we'll provide up at the Blaze. The IRS letter demanding your donor list. Nobody gets my donor list. IRS letter demanding volunteer list. The IRS letter specifically targeting the Tea Party as an organization of interest. The IRS letter demanding more copies, names, and activities. The IRS letter demanding printout copies of all Facebook wall posts. The IRS letter demanding resumes.
What? Yeah. Everybody who's printed or put something on your Facebook wall has to be printed and submitted to the IRS? That's insanity.
It's insanity.
I mean, that would be thousands and thousands of pages.
What if you just said, no, I mean, you can't possibly, that can't be anything they're entitled to.
No, of course it's not. The ACLJ is going to litigate, and we have Mr. Sekulow on with us today at the bottom of the third hour. And Tea Party Patriots, 9/12 Project, Tea Parties, Jewish organizations. The ACLJ is on the case, and they are going to litigate and sue this government. And they should. This is a violation of your civil rights. This is a civil rights movement. As I have been saying for a while, this is a civil rights movement. And if anybody in the press cares to show the slightest bit of interest, you're welcome to all of the copies of all of the letters that we had and posted in 2011. Now, I could provide classes for you on what happened in Benghazi if you'd like to pick up the Benghazi ball. If you'd like to understand what happened with Benghazi, I can help you on that as well, seeing that you're now reporting the things that we reported a week into Benghazi. And you had, because I'm the R-Gang comedies of news compared to the worldwide global resources of ABC News. So I know you had the same information. The question is, why didn't you report it? CBS, the same with you. CNN, the same with you. The same for all of these news organizations. Where were you? We reported it. You didn't. Why? So I can give you a schooling on that. And if you'd like, I could also give you the schooling on the Muslim Brotherhood and its infiltration. I can show you again the documents that you have, that you've verified, and that many of your organizations have spiked after your top journalists went after the Libyan, or not the Libyan, but the Saudi Arabian connection to Boston. You've spiked the story, so you already have it. Your top journalists in 2 of the networks did multiple filings on stories, and they were spiked. So that's the next thing. I would suggest you guys start coming clean.
Yeah, is there a lesson to be learned for, if you're a legitimate, honest media member, that you look at this and say, all right, you know what, Glenn makes a lot of opinion statements. He makes statements about things that he believes and whatever. We don't have to cover that. But when The Blaze and Glenn say they have documents, like from the IRS, that are obviously odd questionnaires, maybe instead of accusing us of conspiracy theories, when we have documents that we're showing you, maybe at that point, just that little hurdle, you start taking the story seriously. Because this has happened multiple times now.
Here's the frightening thing. Everybody started taking it seriously the moment the White House called a meeting and called, 15 journalists in on Friday?
Yeah.
They called 15 or 17 journalists into the White House on Friday to have a private conference with them on Benghazi. And then everybody said, this is a really important thing. So the White House is going to start throwing mid-level staffers and low-level staffers underneath the bus. Do not accept it, America. Do not accept it. This goes all the way to the top. You ask yourself this one question. Why exactly did the president, why was he completely invisible on a day that we had an ambassador killed? He made a political calculation to say, I went to bed. I didn't know. The Pentagon ran the whole thing. Everybody ran it but me. They just told me, and I'm still, I don't know. I'm out of it. Why? Why, during an election, would a president want to look like he was completely disconnected? That was our first tip something was wrong. Because the president came out and said something, and we should find the tape, where I came out and said, look, something's wrong here. Why is the president making himself look not presidential?
Yeah, I remember that.
Something's very wrong. Now, if you're going to take a low-level staffer, when the president of the United States behaved in a way I've never seen a president behave before, you are still covering for this White House.